Welcome to E-ARTS Cambodia. There are increasing hopes that Cambodia's almost $700 million debt to the United States will soon be renegotiated. The issue was discussed during yesterday's wide-ranging discussions between Prime Minister Hun Sen and U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Wendy Sherman. E-ARTS' Andrew Barnes-Roberts has the details.
The U.S. Deputy Secretary of State touched down at Phnom Penh International Airport yesterday morning for a whistle-stop one-day visit. Short but certainly significant, with Wendy Sherman being the highest-ranking U.S. official to visit Cambodia in almost a decade, and the first member of the Biden administration to tour Southeast Asia barely 6 months into Joe Biden's presidential term. The talks at the Peace Parliament in Phnom Penh were described by the Cambodian government as frank, by the U.S. State Department as candid. A number of critically important bilateral issues were discussed, from human rights to investment, but it is the huge war-era debt that Cambodia owes the U.S. that appears to have moved forward. The debt is almost $700 million and, with interest, is growing every year. Prime Minister Hun Sen requested Wendy Sherman to ask President Joe Biden to resolve the debt through a bilateral strategy. That would see Cambodia repaying up to 30% of the debt at 1% interest, with the remaining 70% being returned to the country through investments in education, demining, and socio-economic upliftment. Sherman promised that all of the Prime Minister's requests would be submitted to the White House, and it would seem that renegotiation of the debt is likely. The U.S. Deputy Secretary of State had a letter for the Prime Minister from President Joe Biden stating his intention to work closely with Cambodia in the interests of mutual cooperation, and it appears that more U.S. investment could be on its way. Sherman highlighted opportunities for cooperation between Phnom Penh and Washington, including cooperation on oil and gas investment, along with investments in water infrastructure and green energy. Wendy Sherman's visit to Phnom Penh underscores Washington's efforts to increase its influence in Southeast Asia amidst its ongoing diplomatic tussle with Beijing. The U.S. State Department statement after yesterday's meeting at the Peace Parliament is telling. In it, the U.S. stresses its commitment to the Cambodian people, noting that more than $3 billion in assistance has been given to Cambodia by the United States. The statement also underlines U.S. support for Cambodia during the COVID-19 pandemic, including $11 million to help address economic and health challenges, along with expert advice from U.S. health agencies in Cambodia. Beijing was clearly on Wendy Sherman's mind, though. Her statement last night urged Cambodia's leadership to maintain an independent and balanced foreign policy in the best interests of the Cambodian people. She went on to emphasize the importance of human rights and the protection of fundamental freedom as integral to Cambodia and the United States bilateral relationship. The Deputy Secretary has assured Prime Minister Hun Sen that the United States intends to work with Cambodia in its role as 2022 ASEAN chair and help ensure it can play a constructive role in addressing critical regional, political, and security challenges, including in North Korea, the South China Sea, and the Mekong region, expressing appreciation for Cambodia's work as 2021 co-chair of the Mekong-US Partnership. Andrew Barnes-Roberts, E-ARTS Cambodia.